She thought she had married into the perfect family until her father-in-law knocked on her door. Every fortnight, they called it tradition. She called it hell. Chioma was the kind of woman who carried sunlight in her smile. At 26, her life wasn't perfect, but her heart was full of dreams. She worked as a nurse at a private hospital in Abuja, and after surviving many heartbreaks, she had given up on love until she met Dimeji. He wasn't the type she usually went for. Dimeji was soft-spoken, calm, with the kind of wealth that didn't scream. No chains, no loud cars, just class. They met on a rainy Wednesday when Chioma's Uber cancelled. He offered her a ride from the hospital gate. She almost said no, but something about the tone was disarming. That ride changed her life. They talked all the way to Gwarimpa. Then the next day he returned to the hospital, not as a patient, but just to drop lunch. One visit turned into two. A month passed, then two. Dimeji became a routine in her life, the good one though. He told her he was into family estate businesses and logistics. Well connected, but humble. He lived in a calm part of Maitama, in a beautiful duplex that looked like it had secrets behind every marble wall. But the biggest surprise, his family. When Chioma met them, they welcomed her like a daughter they had been waiting for. It was during her first visit to Dimeji's family home that she felt it, that strange warmth. His father, Chief Ajibade, was a towering man with a deep voice and commanding presence. He was in his early 60s, skin the color of polished mahogany, eyes sharp like he could read souls. He told her, "You are not just welcome here, you are chosen." His mother, Mama Ronke, was all smiles and elegance. She cooked egusi soup herself and even insisted on serving Chioma with her own hands. The whole family lived together in a mansion at the edge of Asokoro. It was like a kingdom, really, a place where silence held story and corridors whispered when you passed. Chioma was convinced this was the family she had never had. They were respectful, warm, and generous. They called her wife, even before the wedding. Even Dimeji's younger brothers treated her like a queen. So when the proposal came on a yacht in Lagos with fireworks and a gold ring, Chioma said yes without thinking twice. The wedding was the stuff of fairy tales, traditional in Oyo, white wedding in Abuja. Dimeji cried when he saw her walk down the aisle. His father kissed her forehead and whispered something she didn't quite catch. Something like, "Now you belong to us." She thought it was just a sweet fatherly blessing. She was wrong. 3 days after the wedding, they returned to the family mansion. Chioma thought they would be heading to their honeymoon destination in Mauritius, but Dimeji said, "We do things differently here. First week is always spent with family." She didn't mind. She liked the family. The first 3 nights were peaceful. The housemaids brought her breakfast in bed. Dimeji spent his time doting on her. On the 3rd night, there was a family dinner to bless the union. The men drank palm wine, the women danced. Then the 4th night came. It started with a soft knock on their bedroom door around 11:45 p.m. Dimeji was in the bathroom. She opened the door, expecting a maid. Instead, Chief Ajibade stood there in a dark wrapper, no shirt, no smile. Chioma stepped back, confused. "Daddy, are you okay?" she stammered. He stepped in and closed the door behind him, slowly. Then he said something she would never forget. "You belong to this family now. Every bride must pass through this tradition. Tonight is your night." Chioma laughed, out of shock. She said, "Daddy, stop. Where is Dimeji?" Chief Ajibade looked at her calmly. "He knows," he said. Her word tilted. She tried to run. He blocked the door. Tried to scream, but the walls were thick and music still played downstairs. Tried to hit him, but his grip was strong, too strong. By the time Dimeji returned to the room, the horror had already happened. Chioma sat on the floor, knees to chest, shaking. Dimeji didn't look surprised. He didn't look ashamed. He just knelt beside her and whispered, "I'm sorry, Chioma, but this is our way. I had no choice." She slapped him again and again. And all he said was, "You will understand. It only happens every fortnight." The next morning, Chioma tried to leave, packed her bag and called a cab, but the gate didn't open. She was told, "Madam can't leave without Oga's permission." She called her best friend, but her phone was confiscated. She screamed, no one came. Mama Ronke came to her room with warm tea and said, "I went through it. So did Dimeji's sister-in-laws. After the fortnight, it becomes easier." Chioma threw the tea at her. The older woman smiled softly. Rebellion only prolonged the pain. Chioma knew then this wasn't a family. It was a prison with velvet curtain. Days passed, then weeks. Every fortnight, the knock returned. Sometimes she resisted, sometimes she gave up, but each time something inside her died. She began to pretend during the day, smile, eat, dress up just to survive. But behind the mask, she searched. She searched through books, drawers, locked cabinets, and finally she found it. An old diary hidden in the ceiling vent of the guest room. It belongs to Dimeji's late aunt, Aunty Bolaji. The diary told everything. The tradition started generations ago. It was believed that sleeping with the bride on the fortnight passed on the family's wealth and spiritual protection. The chief must taste the bride to transfer power and blessings. All the women in the family endured it. Those who resisted were banished or worse. Some pages had blood stains. Some had torn corners. One simply said, "If you are reading this, you are the next victim. Run fast." Chioma began to wear a mask so convincing. Even the maid started calling her Madam Smiley. She greeted Mama Ronke warmly. She kissed Dimeji's cheek in the morning. She even laughed during evening games. But behind her eyes, a wall was building. Her hands might have held a tray of tea, but her mind held rage, planning every second of her escape. She knew the gate wouldn't open for her. The phones were still bugged, and every fortnight, Chief Ajibade still came, sometimes gently, sometimes cruelly. Each visit stole a part of her soul, but Chioma was no longer planning to escape. She was planning to destroy. One stormy evening, as lightning danced across the compound, a whisper reached Chioma's door. A knock, but not his knock, a woman's knock, slow, 3 taps, then pause. It was Sade, the family's youngest maid, barely 19, shy, always looking at the floor. She entered quickly and shut the door. Then she whispered, "I saw what it does. I know what this house really is." Chioma's heart pounded. Sade continued, "My sister was married here. She vanished after 2 months. They said she ran away, but I know she didn't." Tears welled up in Chioma's eyes. Finally, someone who believed her, someone who had seen the rot beneath the roses. Sade passed her a small phone. "It's hidden, not tracked. I can help you send a message, but we must be careful. Cameras are everywhere." Chioma clutched the phone like oxygen. That night, Chioma went into the guest bathroom and tested one person she still trusted, her elder cousin, Aunty Rita, a retired journalist known for taking down powerful men. She typed, "Help me, it's Chioma. I'm trapped. Chief Ajibade. Every fortnight. It's real. Come quietly. Don't trust anyone." Then she flushed the toilet twice, just in case anyone was listening. A reply came 5 minutes later. "I'm coming. No police yet. Watch your back." But Chioma didn't know that the phone was only safe for one use, and Sade was being watched. The next day, everything felt off. The maid didn't smile. Mama Ronke avoided eye contact. Dimeji was unusually silent at breakfast, and Chief Ajibade, he was nowhere to be seen. Then by noon, 4 guards stormed into Chioma's room. They didn't say a word. They dragged her out like a criminal, past shocked faces, past the garden she once admired, into a dark concrete room in the far end of the compound. They tied her to a wooden chair, and then he came in, Chief Ajibade, calm, composed, evil in human form. "So, you sent a message." Chioma's throat closed. He held up the small phone and crushed it beneath his shoe. Shade had been handled. "You, my dear, need a reminder of your place." He raised his hands, but this time something inside Chioma snapped. She beat him hard. He screamed. Blood filled his palm. Chioma smiled. "I'm no longer afraid of you," she whispered. While Chioma was tied up, Aunty Rita was already in Abuja, but she didn't come alone. She came with a friend, a retired High Court judge, and a private investigator. They didn't go to the police station, they went to the press. By evening, a viral blog post shook the internet. The court within, inside the mansion where brides are offered to father-in-law. Chioma's face was blurred, but Dimeji's wasn't. Neither was Chief Ajibade. Social media exploded. The family denied it, of course. Released a press statement calling it an attack on tradition, but it was too late. The fire had started. The compound was in chaos, guards on edge, phones ringing, Dimeji pacing like a haunted animal. When Aunty Rita arrived at the gate with a black Prado jeep and a court order, no one stopped her. She marched in like thunder, found Chioma weak, pale, bleeding, but alive. She hugged her knees and said, "No more night, we are going home." Chief Ajibade tried to intervene, but behind Aunty Rita walked 3 journalists with cameras, and the investigator wore a wire. Chief Ajibade hissed, "You will ruin us." Chioma stood on her feet, her voice steady. "No, you ruined yourself. Every fortnight I died, but tonight I rise." 2 weeks later, Chief Ajibade was arrested. More victims came forward, some from other branches of the family, some who had been silenced for decades. The case became a national news. Chioma became a symbol of survival and courage. She moved out of Abuja, started therapy, and began writing a book titled Every Fortnight. As for Dimeji, he disappeared. Rumors said he fled to Ghana, but Chioma didn't care. Her freedom was enough. She started a foundation for women, escaping court-like family abuse. She told her stories in school, churches, podcasts, and each time she ended with this: "Sometimes monsters wear crowns, but your silence gives them power. Speak, even if your voice shakes. Speak." She thought she was marrying into the perfect family, but behind every smile was a ritual. Every gift was a trap, and every fortnight was a nightmare. Yet she rose and broke the curse for generations to come.